What's up, guys? Today I want to do a trade recap and tell you the lessons I learned from it. There was really two lessons that I learned from this winning trade. It's not about the winning trade. It's not about the percentage. It's about the process because I am new to trading. About 4 months in, so if you're new, hop on board with me. We'll learn together. And if you are a veteran at this, please be patient with me. Leave me any constructive feedback in the comments down below. I'm trading out of supply and demand, and if you guys do not know what supply and demand is, I learned about it from Carmine Rosado. You could check out his channel. It's freaking awesome. But I'm using the same supply and demand zones. If you want to know how I drew them, I just did a video. I'll link it at the end or maybe down in the pinned comments to get a context of how I draw them because they are a little bit different than just support and resistance. And I was pretty much looking at AMD, and my strategies generally are going to be wait for the stock, the share price, to travel into one of my supply and demand zones and then get confirmation of a break or a reversal up to the next supply or down to the next demand. We opened up the day here on AMD and I watched, and immediately it came down and it tested my demand zone and it bounced there. We did a second test and then it traveled up. Now I got to be honest, as somebody that's like new to trading, I've really had this rule where I do not want to trade in the first half hour. I found over the last couple months that I get burned when I trade within the first half hour. This might have been one of those cases where with some time and a little bit, better feeling and understanding of the market, I probably could have made a little bit more money, but maybe not. Hindsight's always 20/20, and I'll explain to you what I mean in just a second. When we had got to about the 10 o'clock hour, when I turned on my computer, we were trading right about here. Now you can imagine if I started looking, waiting for that 10 o'clock, and I looked back at time and saw all these green trades, there's a very good chance I would have jumped in here. It had really, really good volume, but at this point, I thought that I would be chasing at this point. This was one of those where I just did a video about how I had to sit on my hands. This was one of those where I did not want to chase. I did not enter at 10 o'clock, even with all of that past green, because I did not want to chase and mess around in the middle. So what I did was I just observed. I was really observing to see if this thing was going to rip into this supply zone, which was all the way over here. But I was waiting to see really if it was going to rip into supply, and then maybe I would play puts on the way back down. Well, literally within minutes, it kind of based out and started traveling back in the opposite direction. Now I'm thinking to myself, wow, it might be coming down to retest demand. Then we might be able to play the upside once again. So we had a low down here, a lower low, and I watched this and it based out again, pretty close to demand. Now I'm not 100% confident in my demand zones either because I am new to this. So essentially a new demand kind of formed right here, which I saw at the end of the day when I was redrawing, and I decided that I was going to possibly enter a trade here. Now, once again, noob, I probably could have just entered here, taken a really tight stop loss, maybe at like 120.40, right below the swing low. That probably in hindsight would have been the perfect execution. But for me, a new trader, I knew that I had a target in mind. So I said to myself, if we can break above the daily highs, that would be a part that I'll enter. And I'd rather take this percentage here, 1% in share price, but a lot more, I'll tell you the percentage inside options. I would rather take that small amount than in these new days of drawing, I would have been wrong and it would have came up to here and then it would have flushed to the downside. So at 10:35, I entered as soon as we broke the high of the day, and I was able to take this trade all the way up to my first target, which I had at 123 from a previous level. It was just a key area of interest that I was willing to say, okay, here I'm going to take profits. And I did so at 10:58 right here. Okay, so I brought it from here up to here. That was good for a 16% return. And then I got out. It was in my supply. I wasn't going to wait. And I started to consolidate. And I hit my target. And that was it. And it was beautiful. Now, I was thinking to myself, maybe I could always get back in. You always have to think you can get back in. When this started to come down, I was like, good thing that I got out on time. It really was rallying. And I was excited once again, trying to keep emotion out of this. I saw it start to dip. We saw another bounce, and I thought that this was going to be a test of the lower part of that supply zone, and I thought we were going to cut right through that supply zone and continue on. And because I already had locked in a good trade, this is the second thing that I really want to enforce. Because I was able to lock in that trade and that profit, I was able to take another stab and try and participate for another play bouncing off of this lower supply. And it got in again at 11:23, which is right here. On this bullish movement, there was a pretty good volume in the green direction. We had already consolidated a little bit, did a little bit of a test. Really, the sellers weren't winning. And I said, okay, well, if we can get another one of these moves, this might be a little consolidation. And I also knew at this point that I had a really, really tight stop. So the pros of this second trade were I'd already locked in profits, 16% on the day. And if you want to lower your stop, you enter closer to your stop. And I knew that if I entered here, as soon as we broke through supply, I would have been out of this trade. I got into this trade. It traded pretty flat. Theta started to eat it away. I got a little bit of a green bump after a little bit of time, and I got out, and I took like $7, something stupid, essentially just a break even. But that was a good trade for me, even the second one, right? I was able to take a little bit more risk, even though it was planned. I still had target stops, and I still had a target profit. I was able to take this trade because I was so disciplined on this trade. If I would have chased, I would have got smoked. I would have lost to the downside. I would have stopped out. Probably would have got frustrated with this trade. It was okay to watch it. More opportunities are going to present themselves over time. I was a little bit cautious, and I did lose all of these points that members in my Discord, I know that they got when we started talking about this pullback and probable bounce, but I was okay. Let's take some money. Let's lock in some profits. I took this trade, got out, waited for the consolidation, took another stab, tight stop. It didn't really do that much. The data was starting to eat away, and I was able to get out of this trade. Guys, I hope that just showed you that A, don't chase. Sometimes it's okay to just observe. Don't worry about being too conservative and getting in at the proper moment, the exact moment. Don't worry about getting out at the exact time. Get out at your target. Trade the chart, not percentages, not plus or minuses. I don't even show my wins or my losses while I'm trading. I kind of just watch the chart and know that this is my stop and this is my profits. And in hindsight, it's either going to go up after that, down after that, or flat after that, and I'm okay, and I can always re-enter later. This was a great example of you can always re-enter. If it adds some value, guys, a new channel, guys, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, learn with me. We're gonna figure this out. Small account, $5 grand. Let's see how high we can get it by the end of the year. Or will I go bust? Leave in the comments down below if you are still sticking around. Do you give me the date you think that this account of $5 grand is gonna go bust, or tell me when you think we'll double it and get to 10 grand. I'll catch you on the next video, guys.